A very good evening and welcome to this Sunday's edition of News First Weekend, coming to you live from our Newsfirst studios in Colombo. I'm Lanka. Let's start off with a look at the stories.
Changes in 10 cabinet and state ministerial portfolios, law and order entrusted to the Prime Minister. Reshuffle of UPFA-controlled ministries within the next fortnight. The change the people expected has not transpired. State Minister Vasantha Senanayake. Public opposition to Benjamin Netanyahu grows over corruption allegations. Bollywood trailblazer Sridevi passes away.
කිසි කෙනෙක් මම රකින්න ලෑස්ති නෑ.
වෙන කණ්ඩායමක් ආවොත් මිනිදාස නැති වෙනවා.
අද ඩොලරය 159යි.
මේගොල්ලෝ සුදු කරපටිමන්කොලකාරී.
මේ මම ඇමරිකානු පුරවැසියෙක්.
President Mahinda Rajapaksa paid homage to the temple. The former president called on the chief prelate of the Malwatu chapter of the CM sect, Most Venerable Tiputuave Sri Sumangala Thera. Thereafter, he called on the chief prelate of the Yaskiri chapter of the CM sect, Most Venerable Warakagoda Sri Gnanaratana Thera.
There is nothing special. The same pack of cards is being shuffled. Kandy has suffered a great blow because highways has been removed from the minister who was from Kandy. There are reasons why there was work done during our time and not theirs. They don't have the money. They are taking loans to sustain them. This is an act which collected bits and pieces from various locations. That is why we are in this situation. The person who won has less seats than the person who lost. We call on the parliamentarians. If you can't continue with this government, you need to dissolve parliament.
වැරදි කරන කිසි කෙනෙක් මම රකින්න ලෑස්ති නෑ.
වෙන කණ්ඩායමක් ආවොත් මිනිදාස නැති වෙනවා.
අද ඩොලරය 159යි.
මේගොල්ලෝ සුදු කරපටිමන්කොලකාරී.
මේ මම ඇමරිකානු පුරවැසියෙක්.
On to our headline marquee stories today. 6 cabinet ministers, a deputy minister and 3 state ministers were sworn in before President Maithripala Sirisena at the Presidential Secretariat today. Prime Minister Ranil Wickremesinghe was entrusted the law and order portfolio today. Former Law and Order Minister Sagala Ratnayake was sworn in as a Minister of Youth Affairs. Kabir Hashim was sworn in as the Minister of Higher Education and Highways, while Lakshman Kiriyalla, who previously held the portfolio, takes over as the Minister of State Enterprise and Kandy Development. Harin Fernando was entrusted the foreign employment portfolio in addition to his responsibilities as Minister of Telecommunications and Digital Infrastructure. PSN Nagamage was sworn in as the State Minister of Youth Affairs and Southern Development. Ravindra Samarveera, who previously held the position of State Minister of Labour, was sworn in as the Cabinet Minister of Sustainable Development and Wildlife. Ajit P. Pereira was sworn in as the State Minister of Prison Reforms, Rehabilitation and Drug Prevention. Dr. Harsha De Silva was sworn in as State Minister of National Policies and Economic Affairs. J.C. Alawatuwala, who had served as an MP thus far, was sworn in as the Deputy Minister of Home Affairs today.
I believe that you and I and everyone else accepts that as a government we need to implement a new program following the message given to us by the people with the results of the concluded local government elections and with new proposals and ideas to make reforms and correct the affairs of our government. There is a need for change in state policies and activity along with political reforms to correct the delays on our part and to overcome the shortcomings. We must always be prepared to make the required sacrifices on behalf of the country and the people. You and I are both aware that in our political policies, the country and the people must be given priority.
Upon exiting the Presidential Secretariat, ministers shared these thoughts with the media.
The government has produced a comedy. Part 1 was played today and Part 2 will be played soon. I do not know whether the people will laugh, cry or throw stones. I am not frustrated. I think the change the people expected has not transpired in any way. No, do not put words in my mouth. I am saying that the clear change the people hoped for must transpire. I think you cannot deceive the people with jokes like this. Change will happen for good or for worse. There were several changes. We expect more in the future. It is normal. When they get it, they are happy. When they don't, they are frustrated. We were of the opinion that the Prime Minister must continue on. In the meantime, changes will take place within the UNP. Those are two separate stories. I think the hope is the people's hope. We accept that what the people hope for must be accomplished.
I am happy that I continue to receive the blessings to continue to implement the program of the Ministry of Housing and Construction. We have a challenge to build 25,000 Udagammana villages by the end of 2020. I will take this to my hand and resolve the housing problems faced by the people.
What was implemented today were the changes relating to UNP MPs. The President and the Prime Minister have thought this through well and implemented it. At the same time, if the subjects have been incorrectly distributed, it will be corrected. Just as the UNP changes took place today, the other group will also change within the next fortnight.
I have been appointed as the State Minister of National Policies and Economic Affairs. I will be able to continue with the work that has been done. More responsibilities have been entrusted in relation to the cost of living and food distribution. I look forward to overcoming this new challenge. I do not see any major change.
I have always maintained that I had a ministry which had no public institutions under it. If you take the telecom company, they are both private companies. Maybe that is why we could work for the people in the district. There is very little time left, and I think the people have given a good message. Therefore, I believe it is a time when we must serve the people.
I started in the Pradeshya Sabha. I did not go to Parliament just because my father was also a politician. I started with the Pradeshya Sabha in 91. Then I went to the Provincial Council and I entered Parliament in 94. Today I have received the position of Deputy Minister.
Now you saw the changes that have been made to the ministerial portfolios. You saw the views that were expressed by members of the UNP. We have an interesting cut that was expressed by Parliamentarian Ravi Karunanayaka. Let's listen to it.
මේ කළා තියෙන එක ඇස්පැඳුම් වැඩක්. ජනතාවගේ සිතුම් පැතුම් ඉෂ්ට කරන්න පුළුවන් විදිහට වැඩ පිළිලක් ඇති කරන්න ඕනේ. ඒවා හංගල වැඩක් නැහැ නේ.
Ravi Karunanayaka saying that this is a joke, this is a facade, and this is a misdirection. Those were the views of Parliamentarian Ravi Karunanayaka. What did the SLFP and the UPFA have to say about these cabinet changes? Let's listen.
There has been no change in the national government. Consensus is being implemented. It was the same thing during his time too. It goes on this way, and I think he would be able to understand that. No, it's a different party with a different tangent. We are a separate party with a separate line. So he will go on his journey and we will go on ours. We have not abandoned that idea. It is ongoing. Minister S.B. Dissanayake is on the way. You can talk to him. I do not know. I did not say that. Half has been changed. The other half will change in 2 weeks. On our side, only PSA Nagamage was appointed. That is because his portfolio was changed. There are no problems. A good cabinet has been appointed. We have not abandoned that idea.
No, I am neither happy nor unhappy. This is necessary for the national government. I cannot say that today, can I?
It is our hope to address our shortcomings and embark on a new journey with a new program to implement the change the people expect. That is what we will see. That is all we can do at this moment. The President made a request of us, noting that clear change would be made in the SLFP. We will stand by the changes he makes as the head of the party. This cabinet reshuffle shows that the national government will continue.
Sri Lanka Nidas Pakshe ඇමතිවරුන් දෙන්නලත් මේ UMP කට්ටියත් එක්ක එකට ඉඳලා මේ කැබිනට් සංශෝධනය එකට කරන්න බැරි මේ එක ගමනක් යනවා නම් නෑ ජනාධිපති.
The President has clearly said the changes in the SLFP will transpire in the next 2 weeks. The President said that today only changes in the UNP would take place.
Now, how have these ministerial changes really taken place? Let's take a look at the breakdown of what has actually happened.
There have been several swaps that have been made among existing ministers of the government. Prime Minister Ranil Wickremesinghe retains his National Policies and Economic Affairs Ministry and adds Law and Order to his portfolio. Minister Sagala Ratnayaka, who earlier occupied the Law and Order portfolio, is the new Minister of Youth Affairs and Southern Development. P.S.N. Gamage, who was the State Minister of Law and Order, is now the State Minister of Youth Affairs and Southern Development. Ministers Lakshman Kiryalla and Kabir Hashim have exchanged portfolios. Kabir Hashim takes over the Ministry of Higher Education and Highways, while Lakshman Kiryalla takes on the Ministry of State Enterprise. He has also been given the portfolio of Candy Development. Minister Harin Fernando, who held Telecommunications and Digital Infrastructure, has also been given the Foreign Employment portfolio, which was earlier held by Minister Talata Atukorala. Ravindra Samaravira, who earlier served as State Minister of Labour and Trade Unions Relations, has taken over the Ministry of Sustainable Development and Wildlife from Minister Gamini Javikrama Pereira. Ajit P. Pereira, who earlier served as Deputy Minister of Power and Renewable Energy, is the new State Minister of Prisons and Rehabilitation. Meanwhile, Dr. Harsha De Silva, who earlier served as Deputy Minister of National Policies and Economic Affairs, is the new State Minister for the same portfolio. J.C. Alawatuwala, who served as a parliamentarian, has been appointed as the Deputy Minister of Home Affairs. The position was earlier held by Nimal Lanza, who left the government recently.
Now, the age-old question, how did we get here? Now, you saw the changes that have been made to the positions in the ministerial portfolios. I want to highlight one particular thing before we really get started. Dr. Harsha De Silva and Ajit P. Pereira. Now, these are two individuals who held deputy ministerial portfolios. Now, with the changes that have taken place, they are state ministers. State Minister of Prisons and Rehabilitation for Ajit P. Pereira, and Harsha De Silva takes State Minister of National Policies and Economic Affairs, State Minister of the same portfolio. The question is, why were these individuals given state ministerial portfolios instead of their deputy ministerial portfolios? When we inquired from several high-ranking government sources, we got to know that the deputy minister is the individual who steps up and takes command of a ministry when a minister is out of the country or unable to perform his duties. So why is the question, why have they been given state ministerial portfolios instead of their deputy ministerial portfolios? Again, the question comes, how did we get here? Well, it's quite simple. All this happened in the aftermath of the local government elections 2018. The local government elections gave us a sort of unexpected result to the ruling party. They lost, and then this is how this cabinet reshuffle eventually took place. Why did they lose the election? Well, that question could probably be answered in 3 words: inaction and broken promises. Right, let's get to inaction. If you remember this gentleman, this is the former central bank governor, Arjun Mahendran, who has been linked to the bond scam. He is currently wanted by court. He is currently out of the country, and the person who recommended his appointment is currently the Minister of Law and Order. That is none other than our Prime Minister Ranil Wickremesinghe. Then let's go on to our next picture. This gentleman, Nandana Lokuvitana, during the campaign trail, during the presidential election as well as the general election, the politicians shouted from stage to stage saying that this individual was the person who was the key to finding the money that was allegedly looted or stolen by Mahinda Rajapaksa and sent overseas. He was said to have been controlling this money. These were not claims made by us. These are claims made by the politicians who are in power right now. After the election, Minister Malik Samaravikrama is tasked with approaching this gentleman, Nandana Lokvitana, and bringing him down to the country. That is how the BOI project for the Horana tire factory took place. Let's go on to, now these are things that happened in this current government. What about the previous government? Again, inaction and broken promises. Sri Lankan Airlines and Mihin Lanka. They claimed that there was plenty of corruption that took place in these two institutions under the previous government. What action has been taken to date? What about the MiG deal? The purchase of MiG aircrafts for the Sri Lanka Air Force. This gentleman, Udayanga Veeruthunga, former Sri Lankan ambassador to Russia, is currently wanted. There is a red notice out on him, but the Sri Lankan authorities have not been able to get him as yet. The avant-garde case. The politicians who are currently in power claimed that the country lost out on millions because the deal was given to avant-garde and instead of the Sri Lanka Navy. Again, what action has been taken? We recall with great grief the murders of Wasim Tajuddin, Lasantha Wickramatunga, the disappearance of Prageet Eknalikuda, the Sirilia Savia issue, which was centered around former First Lady Shanti Rajapaksa. What is the action that has been taken? That is why I say inaction and broken promises. Now, let's take a look at the actual changes in heads that have taken place. Minister Lakshman Kirialla and Kabir Hashim have exchanged portfolios. Now, Minister Kirialla has allegations against him on corruption related to the highways issue, the central highway. Kabir Hashim, he is linked to the bond scam as well, that infamous breakfast meeting. So, switching portfolios between two individuals who have allegations against them. I mentioned inaction. Sagar Ratnayaka, former Minister of Law and Order, is one of the main individuals who the finger is pointed at for not taking action against the persons that I previously mentioned. What about Harin Fernando, Minister of Telecommunications and Digital Infrastructure, when the infamous payment platform was being developed? He has been rewarded with the Ministry of Foreign Employment, which has been removed from Thalta Atukorala, who now handles justice. Now, the government has about 1.5 years to fulfill these broken promises and act where inaction has ruled the day. It will be interesting to see if the government can live up to the promises that they have made before coming into power and after coming into power. It will be interesting to see if they actually are able to live up to their name of Yahapalne or the government of good governance. This is what we have to say. Let's listen to what the people have to say.
They have appointed these TV ministers once again, and even the Prime Minister is continuing in this way. Are they trying to ruin the country?
The same Kabir Hashims, Kiriallas and Ranil Wickramasinghes who were implicated in the bond scam have been reappointed. The people voted to send them home, but that is not what has happened. The people will not accept this. We are the ones who have lost. They have simply switched around the heads of the thieves. The friends have gotten together and are sucking out the lifeblood of the people. The question the people have is whether the rogues have hijacked the cabinet. The people gave them a slap at the local government election and demanded that they work. The hopes of the rogues have been fulfilled today. That is what we can see. Prime Minister, have you managed to catch even a calf? The ministers were switched around the way the thieves wanted. They have made minor changes in a way that will protect the old thieves
and the new thieves. So there will be no change to the system in this country. This is in no way what the people asked for. So as in the past, there is a government which we can have no faith in.
පාලනයක් තමයි මේ තියෙන්නේ. මම නම් හිතන්නේ කරන්නේ නැතුව හිතන ඊටත් වැඩිය හොඳයි. මොකද ඒක විහිළුවක්. මේ කළා තියෙන එක ඇස්පැඳුම් වැඩක්. ජනතාවගේ සිතුම් පැතුම් ඉෂ්ට කරන්න පුළුවන් විදිහේ වැඩ පිළිලක් ඇති කරන්න ඕනේ. ඒවා
The government has produced a comedy. Part 1 was played today and part 2 will be played soon. I do not know whether the people will laugh, cry or throw stones. I am not frustrated. I think the change the people expected has not transpired in any way. No, do not put words in my mouth. I am saying that the clear change the people hoped for must transpire. I think you cannot deceive the people with jokes like this. Change will happen for good or for worse.
JVP Provincial Councillor Namal Karnaratna convened a media briefing in Dambulla today.
There is a deal between them and it is clear that Mahinda Rajapaksa is helping the Prime Minister to remain in his position. The people must know this. The government is facing major opposition and political turmoil. In order to suppress this, they are carrying out this cabinet reshuffle. The people were waiting expectantly for the fruit to fall, but the thief ate it. The ministry, which was being eaten up by rogues, is now changing hands among rogues. It is like a merry-go-round in the carnival. While it is spinning, the children think that they are going further and further away, but when it stops, they realize that they are still in the same spot. This is what has happened to the government too.
The people of Karwalagas, however, who were in the dark for many years, saw a glimpse of light in the year 2016 when a milk collection centre was constructed for them under the government the 100-day programme. In line with this, a community centre was also constructed in Egoripitia and vested in the public on the same day. Financial support for this community centre was provided by the Sri Lanka Export Credit Insurance Corporation.
This will be one of our community service ventures. We engaged in many such similar activities in the recent past and we hope to continue such community service projects.
2 years later, what is the situation today? Here's a look.
We used to collect milk under a tree. I used to hand over the milk the same way. We used to give around 3 cans to the institute. After Newsfirst built this centre, we can hand over about 5 to 6 cans. We collect around 500 litres of milk at the centre. When the centre was first built, we collected only about 120 litres a day. Now it is our centre that sends out the most amount of milk to Navagathegama.
Olivier Godard of the UAE emerged victorious in the men's race in Ironman 70.3 Colombo today. The women's race was won by Ling Chu from Singapore. The Champions Network, MTV, MBC and Newsfirst were the official media sponsors for the event, which was held for the first time in a South Asian country.
The Ironman event is an immensely popular international triathlon considered by many to be an ultimate test of human endurance. The event comprised of an ocean swim, cycling and a marathon run. Athletes from across the world participated in Ironman 70.3, which kicked off with the 1.9 kilometer ocean swim. Subsequently, the athletes took off on their bicycles for the 90 kilometer cycling race, followed by the 21 kilometer half marathon. Over 880 athletes, men and women from over 63 countries participated in Ironman 70.3 in Colombo. Olivier Godard from the UAE registered a time of 28 minutes 34 seconds in the ocean swim, 2 hours 8 minutes and 55 seconds in the cycle race and 1 hour 25 minutes and 55 seconds in the half marathon run. Italian David Rossetti was placed second, while Spain's Francisco Gabriel was placed third.
Sri Lankan heat is very tough, you know, and it was really a fight of survival out there. It wasn't really pretty, but you know, at the end, you just have to see it through, and you know, I was lucky enough to win in the end.
In the women's race, Ling Chu of Singapore finished the ocean swim in 32 minutes and 49 seconds, the cycle race in 2 hours 26 minutes and 17 seconds, and the half marathon run in 1 hour 44 minutes and 12 seconds. Russian Ushakova Svetlana was placed second, while Australian Brittany Campbell completed the podium.
Kandy Sports Club dominated Navy SC in the final of the Clifford Cup knockout tournament today to retain the trophy. At full time, Kandy Sports Club led the Sailors 21 points to 7. And with that, we wrap up tonight's edition of Weekend Primetime News. Thank you very much for joining us. Good night.